This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
Why isn't the kid playing more? Why is he so far behind Jacoby Brissett? Why am I going to have to watch Jacoby Brissett bounce around in the pocket and throw end zone interceptions that'll make your eyes bleed when the kid looked just
this
fine?
Dude, Drake Maye, is different than these quarterbacks, I think, of the post-Brady era. What I saw last night from Drake Maye, especially in his touchdown run, things that I could never say before about a Patriots.
I saw the 7th Super Bowl trophy. I saw the 8th. And I'm not talking about this year or even next year. I saw it eventually. It's coming. Drake Maye will win a Super Bowl with the Patriots. Woo. He will get his jersey retired, and he will get that gold jacket someday. Drake Maye is him. Drake Maye can do it all, and Drake Maye is the next great Patriots quarterback booking.
It's time for a new era in New England, with Bill Belichick following Tom Brady into retirement.
Robert and I, after a series of discussions, have mutually agreed to part ways.
The next chapter of Patriots football can properly begin, and Drake Maye is a fantastic main character to build around. He has a glittering college career, a strong arm, and dangerous legs. Any talk of Joe Milton getting a start is just an absolute joke right now, and with promising signs from their rookie receivers, the Patriots could be back in no time. And honestly, that's what makes this the most fascinating situation in the NFL, especially when you include Drake Maye. Now, the last couple of seasons have been shambolic, and this 2024 roster is completely full of the unknown. Yes, we can expect this defense to still be pretty good, but on the offensive side of the ball, we just have a bunch of young guys that we don't really know how they're going to translate to the NFL yet. And to make it even more exciting is that they're at key positions on this offense too, and it's not at just the quarterback position. It's at several different positions as well. Obviously, Drake Maye is the first name to call upon, with the Patriots hoping that he will be the third time lucky in their attempt to replace the greatest quarterback of all time.
Yeah, I'm extremely high on him. I've had a privilege to be around a couple of number one picks. I really think this guy is a number one pick type of guy. He's got a ton of skills. I think his best football is still ahead of him. He's going to be one of those guys who just gets better and better and better and better. He has a lot of the traits that those guys who last a long time have. He gets along with his teammates. He's a stable guy. I think he's really, really good. I think there's a bunch of great football ahead of him, and I've told anyone who'd listen that I really do think he should or could easily be the top pick in the whole draft.
I mean, honestly, the first two that they tried to replace Brady with, they're probably going to want to forget about for the most part. Cam Newton was a head scratcher, and Mac Jones was the shell of a quarterback we saw in college. I mean, in fairness to him, it was not the smartest of the decisions to saddle him up with Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as his offensive masterminds after what a promising rookie season he did have. But in Drake Maye, the Patriots have a new beacon of hope. As we all know, he enters the league off of a pretty dominant college career with the North Carolina Tar Heels. He only started 2 seasons, but that was really all he needed. At the first time of asking, Maye delivered in the starter role, setting a new school record of 5,019 yards on offense, comprising 4,321 yards and 38 touchdowns through the air, and 698 yards and 7 touchdowns as a rusher. His numbers did dip slightly in his second year, but that was more of a reflection of the team around him, and it did little to deter the interest of NFL teams at the top of the draft. I mean, as we all know, personally for me, I think that Maye is an all-around offensive machine who can fire passes to really any area of the field, and when he does need to, also he can use his legs when needed.
He says this guy's the guy.
Yeah.
He says he's Andrew. Mm-hmm. He said, when I'm talking to him, I'm talking to Andrew.
Interesting.
Which is a very fascinating thing, because Andrew went to Stanford, he went to North Carolina, so you're immediately going to assume that Andrew, much bigger nerd than he is in North Carolina. Yeah. And we've heard the shit talking from his family and everything like that. He goes, they're both nerds, okay? They look the same. Drake Maye might be a little bit faster than Andrew Luck.
Whoa.
And he said he's not saying that he's going to have the exact accomplishments of Andrew Luck, because obviously Andrew Luck was an incredibly special player. But he's saying whenever he's dealing with Drake Maye, talking to Drake Maye, watching the film of Drake Maye and what he's going to prove in the pro day on the board and also throwing around for people, is he is very similar to Andrew Luck.
His 56 rushes of 10 yards or more over the last 2 seasons fall only behind Jaden Daniels for quarterbacks in the nation. And I mean, we know how dangerous Daniels is as a rusher. But I think that's the most interesting thing about Maye too, is that he's a completely different threat than what Daniels is to the Washington Commanders. Like, I mean, you're trading in Daniels' pretty much game-breaking speed for just the toughness and physicality that Maye brings to the table, and honestly just a better passer of what Maye is going to become. We are all aware of the excitement and anticipation surrounding the 2024 cohort of rookies, but it's what they do on the gridiron that will dictate their legacy that remains in the NFL. And look, for me, I really don't see why there's not a reason of why Drake Maye can't be the best guy out of this draft class at the quarterback position. As we all know, once the season does start, Caleb Williams is probably going to grab most of the headlines, but I mean, with the guys that he has around him in Keenan Allen, Cole Kmet, and Romeo Odunze, and DJ Moore, I don't see how that guy could not have a better situation around him. But I think when we look at Maye though, what makes him so special is just the football IQ and just the talent, the raw talent that Maye has to challenge Caleb Williams as being the best quarterback from this draft. And I know it may not be the biggest names or the catchiest names either, but the Patriots could be building some rookies that could become pretty decent starters down the line if they can develop them and just kind of build them up in that wide receiver room. I mean, after almost being an unwatchable unit in 2023, New England decided to address the issue in this offseason. And I mean, who could blame them? Like, I mean, the defense on their own gave up the 6th fewest yards in the NFL in 2024, whereas the offense's dismal effort placed them 30th for yards and 31st for points. Like, it's safe to say that was where they needed help, and their draft haul reflected it too. 7 of the Patriots' 8 draft picks were on that side of the ball, including 2 wide receivers, 2 offensive linemen, and a tight end, in addition to the 2 quarterbacks, Drake Maye and Joe Milton. And I mean, you gotta give it to them too, because they're giving Maye exactly the support he wants and needs. And to make matters even better, the early reports from the group have been fantastic. It's often dangerous to put too much stock into camp reports, but the vibes surrounding the Patriots offense right now are very positive, in particular with that wide receiver unit. Reporters at Patriots camp have barely been able to pick between Jalen Polk, the team's 2nd round selection,
with the 37th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, my New England Patriots select Jalen Polk, receiver, Washington,
and Javon Baker, the team's 4th round selection, as the number 1 guys.
The 110th pick in the 2024 NFL Draft, the New England Patriots select Javon Baker, wide receiver, Central Florida.
Both are apparently regularly embarrassing some of the team's best defensive backs, including the very promising sophomore Christian Gonzalez. Demario Douglas also has been receiving a lot of good praise too, and he's fresh off of a solid rookie season. Maye himself reportedly got off to a rough start, but has now eased his way into things over the last week or so, and it's starting to impress a little bit more. His early struggles were then inflated by the fact that the 6th round draft pick Joe Milton is reportedly having a great camp. And like, I mean, it should probably come as no surprise that the man renowned for launching 70-yard bombs at the combine has produced some serious wow moments in camp. And yes, he looked good in the first game of the preseason, but I don't believe the hype that Milton is going to overtake Maye. Like, it just doesn't, it's not going to happen, period. When it comes to on-the-field production, Maye undoubtedly gets the edge while also having a cannon of an arm also.
This guy is getting more and more comfortable. This is someone who did look poised, as you mentioned, and did look comfortable, did look like he was in command. You saw the athleticism in the pocket to be able to adjust the pressure, buy time in the pocket, deliver the football accurately on some of the screen plays when Philadelphia was getting after him on the blitz. He showed the fact that he can rip the ball over the middle on time, in rhythm, with good placement. He just missed on a go ball down the middle of the field that Javon Baker, their 4th round pick out of Central Florida. They just need to get a supporting cast around him that can support him in a very meaningful, competent way. But they found their quarterback of the future. Tonight, you got to see a little bit of a glimpse as to why.
Like, I mean, honestly, I just personally believe that this training camp drama is just completely overblown and needs a whole just kind of thing that we're going to discuss in a minute. But for now, let's talk about the wide receivers and just how good this unit could be. As I said before, the good news for New England, aside from the fact that all of their young wideouts have gotten off to good starts, is that they all fill very different roles too. Polk is the big body possession receiver, Baker is the more explosive big play guy, and Douglas is the speedster in the slot. In a room where there is very little talent to be excited by, this trio can certainly raise some eyebrows. If so, that would be great news for Maye, who will need reliable hands and playmakers whenever the Patriots do decide to slot him into the starting role. And since they're going to be so influential just in the production and just kind of honestly the trajectory of Drake Maye's career, we're going to take a little bit deeper of a dive into each of these guys. Are you looking for a new book this football season? BetUS is the answer. They have the fastest and easiest payouts in the industry, along with 24/7 personalized service 365 days a year. Not only that, but they have live wagering on all major games, so if you see something mid-game and want to make a wager on it, you can. And the best part is you get 10% back on your net losses twice a year. And now look, you guys know I had to come through for you, so use my sign up link in the description or pinned comment and get a sign up bonus of 125% up to $2,000. Again, thank you to BetUS for sponsoring today's video, but for now, let's hop back into it. Firstly, we have Jalen Polk, who is most likely going to take on the #1 role. Kendrick Bourne is currently still recovering from his ACL injury, and Juju just got cut, so we're really never going to see him probably on another NFL team. I think the #1 spot is Polk's to lose, primarily because he has all the attributes needed to make him Drake Maye's new best friend. He's big and has an impressive catch radius, and when the ball is sent in his direction, he catches pretty much everything. And yes, there are obviously some areas that he needs to improve in, and he is not the fastest, but he makes up for that for being just reliable as he comes up for everything else, lining up on the inside and the outside. I mean, we saw how difficult life was for Bryce Young in Carolina last year with only Adam Thielen as a reliable option. Polk can be that go-to guy for May early and often, helping to ease him into life in the NFL while offering much more juice than what the aging Adam Thielen gave Bryce Young. And with Polk eating up targets and keeping the chains moving, Javon Baker and Demario Douglas can be the guys who May looks to for bigger and more explosive plays. Baker described his playstyle by saying that he makes people in wheelchairs want to stand up. And I mean, first of all, that's just a great line. Like, kudos to him for even coming up with that, because that's an awesome line. Secondly, he's been living up to that hype that he's put on himself based off of what camp reports have been showing, with many beat reporters saying that he's just been constantly getting open no matter where he's lined up on the field. He's an explosive, speedy, and smooth athlete with great twitch in his breaks, which makes him the perfect complement to Polk as the steady, reliable target. And while it is easy to get carried away with Baker's flashes in training camp, it's important to remember that he was a 4th-round pick. Kendrick Bourne will likely get the preference over Baker when he returns from injury, but it will be interesting to see how long that lasts. Baker surely has the higher upside, provided he can continue impressing in training camp and in preseason games. But now Demario Douglas is the last guy worth mentioning, as last year he collected 561 yards as a rookie, offering a rare sign of juice on a pretty incompetent and dull offense. Honestly, he's just much better suited to be a supportive piece out of the slot. So I mean, if Polk can establish himself as an effective #1 guy and Baker or Bourne can do a good job across from him, that could open up more space for Douglas to take a significant step forward as a sophomore. He was 5th among receivers with an average of 6.9 yards after the catch in 2023 and is more talented than his 6th-round draft grade would suggest. He's another player who has been popping up in training camp and another very useful asset for May. And now look, I'm not going to pretend or sit here and try and talk you into like saying that this wide receiver group is going to strike fear into the hearts of like defensive coordinators around the NFL, because they're probably not going to. But I mean, compared to last year, and I mean, even a little bit this year, they're a much better unit than last year, but even coming into this year, they may be even a little bit underrated now. A lot of that is based on projection, but Polk is considered one of the more pro-ready receivers in the 2024 class, and Baker and Douglas certainly do offer intriguing explosive upside. For May, that variety of skill sets could be crucial in helping him adjust to the league and build confidence early. With Bourne returning from injury and a supporting cast of names such as KJ Osborne, Traquan Thornton, Jalen Rigor, and Kayshawn, New England will hopefully be able to provide May with a better supporting cast than the one that destroyed Bryce Young's confidence in Carolina last year. Question marks along the offensive line are a concern, but left tackle Caden Wallace, the team's 3rd-round selection, has at least made a solid start to his rookie season in training camp. It would be a stretch to project him as a contributor in 2024, but if he can develop into a useful starter over the course of the year, then he could go a long way to laying the foundations for a good rebuild over the next few seasons. Right tackle Mike Inoue was one of the team's highest priority re-signings over the offseason, while also bringing in Okafor to replace Trent Brown at left tackle. And yes, while New England probably would have wanted to improve their offensive line with just some bigger names that honestly would have helped with that offensive line that they're going to have these struggles with, they're still in the middle of a rebuild right now. Like, we have to remember that too. And due to that, not everything can happen at once, and a couple of mid-round O-linemen are a good way to start. The Patriots used their early picks on a quarterback and a wide receiver this year, and perhaps the bigger ticket O-lineman will arrive in the 2025 NFL draft. Like, I mean, repairing a 4-13 roster, that's going to take some time, but they definitely have taken some steps in the right direction. And like, I mean, it's safe to say that everything coming up to the draft too was talking about how teams are going to have to kind of sit Drake Maye and kind of work with him to really just develop him. And I think that's what their main focus has to be this year, is developing Drake Maye. A sturdy enough defense led by Matthew Judon and Kyle Duggar should prevent games from getting too far away from the Patriots, which will mean Maye in the offense can keep things fairly balanced, not putting too much pressure on the rookie either. Stevenson is a very capable bell cow running back who offers another useful set of hands in the passing game, which will help as well. And also on that topic about just not putting too much pressure on Drake Maye is the fact that they were also able to sign Jacoby Brissett to pretty much kind of show Drake Maye the ropes, as well as being that day one starter, so that way they can ease Drake Maye into the starting role. As we all know, Brissett has made a name for himself as a steady set of hands under center, making him the perfect bridge quarterback to look after the offense and mentor Maye until he is ready. He was an obvious signing for New England to make after Alex Van Pelt was named the new offensive coordinator. And I mean, Van Pelt and Brissett were in Cleveland at the same time, coinciding with Brissett producing some of the best football of his career in 2022. Van Pelt doesn't benefit from having a top 5 running back in Nick Chubb anymore, but you can expect him to lean heavily on the run game whenever Maye does take over. As I said before, the defense should be able to keep games close enough, and establishing the run will bring play action passes and Maye's strong arm into play. That strong arm opens up a very deep passing game that the Patriots haven't had in years, and you bet Van Pelt will try and tap into that. Overall though, there's a lot to be excited about in New England. The rebuild process may just be getting started, and the outlook for 2024 itself may not be great, but there is a lot of young and exciting talent to track. As I said before, Maye's development in 2024 is the priority, and will be fascinating to watch the battle for snaps in the wide receiver room as well. But I mean, hopefully some real talent begins to emerge, giving the Patriots fewer positions that they need to address in the draft and offseason next year. If that does happen, and they can be really targeted with who they go after in the draft, and there's a very real possibility that Drake Maye is leading a playoff charge within the next few seasons. But I want to know what you guys think. How good is Drake Maye going to be this year? Do you even think that they will start him? Personally, for me, I do think that Drake Maye, unless like Caleb Williams does completely just fall apart, Drake Maye may be the best quarterback, just pure raw talent. He kind of reminds me of Trevor Lawrence, just out of the draft. He even kind of has that like Josh Allen feel to him a little bit too, just how Josh Allen was really raw coming out of Wyoming, but then they developed him, and now look at Josh Allen. The dude is just feared in the AFC. So I definitely could see the same thing happening for Drake Maye. But record-wise, I'm going to say, again, this team, they're not going to be very good. They're going to be like a bottom-tier team. They're going to be like, you know, probably bottom of the barrel. They hopefully will get another top 5 pick again, like I said earlier. Maybe go and get that offensive lineman they need, or just a stud wide receiver if they still need more help in that wide receiver room. But let me know what your record predictions are below. I do think that they're going to be like 4-13. No disrespect to them, just that they have a lot of rebuilding they still have to do. But as always, if you guys did enjoy this video, make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe. Again, we are trying to hit our goal of 70,000, 80,000, if who knows, 100,000 this year if we can before the NFL season is over. And appreciate you guys for watching. And as always, I will catch you guys in the next one.